Pretty much. We all do know it was like fathers who always wanted a boy, but they ended up with 16 girls.
Don't my dad be having me behind the builder?
Yo,
I be around the house painting, building,
hammering nails, all
man,
kinds of shit.
seriously, cutting wood.
So y'all know this real. Alright, so Esther. So Esther was considered valuable because she was pretty. And then here's the key thing y'all want to remember. Not only was she pretty, she was worth like $500,000 because she was over her now. Alright, so
$500,000?
yeah, I'm just
Nah, I know that.
so yeah, you was young. He like ain't none worth that much. Alright, so let's take it back. We looking at Esther. First of all, she was pretty. Then she was a virgin, but then she was still a teenager. So you young, pretty, and you a virgin. Like name your price. So now here's the thing. Mordecai, her cousin she was living with, he had his own company or whatever. His money was going, so he was decent. Like they wasn't hurting. He was not trying to sell her. Esther was engaged to somebody else. But what did I say women didn't have when we first started?
Right.
Women didn't have rights. Okay, so you have this guy. He not rich. He doing all right. Mordecai. Mordecai. He doing all right. His cousins died. He adopted a kid who was an orphan. And like I said, she was also a virgin and she was pretty. So then the king has to get rid of his wife. And this is her name. Vashti. All right, so the king gets rid of his wife. Now, what did I say women didn't have? Rights. All right, so I'm going to tell y'all why that's so important right now. So the king had a wife, and she was considered like one of the prettiest women around. And so kings, picture this, instead of thinking about kings for a minute, just for a couple of minutes, think about like drug dealers. You have that one guy, and then he got the baddest car in the neighborhood. Maybe it's a Bentley or something. And then maybe that's like 300,000. And then the other drug dealer got approved. Well, I got more money than him. So then instead of having a Bentley, he go get a Rolls Royce, and it's 600,000 because he got to show off more than the guy with the Bentley. So it was the same thing back in history with the kings. You would have the king, and he would have like a 2-day party. Then the other king in the kingdom next door would be like, man, forget that. I'm going to have a 6-day party. And he had 300 naked women dancing. I'm going to have 800. So it was just this big, I'm going to get everybody drunk. I'm going to get, big competition. Well, what happened with the king, he had Vashti, his wife. And he called for her. Had one of his men called a eunuch. We'll get to that in a second. But he had the eunuch go get Vashti and told her, come dance at my party. So one of the ways that kings kind of bragged back then is your woman had to basically come strip for your boys. Now, depending on who the king was, she didn't have to get like butt naked, but y'all know belly dancing. Y'all seen the movies? Yeah. So back then, that was entertainment. So yeah, you had a party, and I don't know how they sat through it as these people's women, but women didn't have rights. So you're sitting there, you're next to your husband, and the whole time y'all eating dinner at the party, a bunch of booty all in your face. Because that was the entertainment. It was like, we gonna eat, and then somebody gonna shake a bunch of bells and grass skirts and whatever else. All right, so
you want to be in that song? You talking about that's lit though?
That is not lit. All right, so this was the king's wife. You ain't the first person to say that in here, don't worry. All right, so this was the king's wife. So he called for her, and you gotta remember, this like day whatever of the party, say day 6, I don't remember exactly, but everybody toe up. And so he gets it in his mind, I'm really about to show off because they about to see that my woman, the whole finest in this country. He calls her, he said, come shake, drop it like it's hot for my boys.
Why you say it like that?
And guess what she said?
No.
No, women didn't have what?
Rights.
So all the king's men, they was like, dude, you're going to have to kill her. You're going to have to do something. Because you got to think, the king is like the leader that all the other men look up to. And then there was plenty of women at this party. So what happens in the kingdom, and this is actually word for word from the Bible, the men said, You have to do something with her because if not, all our women gonna think they have rights. Like, so what they're saying is we gonna have no control if you let her mouth off. So he really loved her, and I'm gonna tell you how we know that. He sent her away, never to be seen again. He said she's banished from the land. But what they were supposed to do if a woman disobeyed the man back then was behead her.
What?
Behead.
But
Should have been. Now she wasn't, so don't write on your test that she was. But beheaded. Now the hint is in the word. What does beheaded mean?
Behead.
Chop her joint off.
Yes. Her head should have been chopped off. You don't disobey a man. You just a woman.
And he probably was
That's
embarrassed.
crazy though.
Yeah, he was.
I think that was the main thing.
So the way that he kind of saved face was that, okay, yeah, you got smart, but you're not the queen no more. So people didn't disobey because they knew my husband gonna send me away. And women didn't have like companies, and everybody wanted to get married, so a man would take care of you. So it wasn't like today where you're like, oh, I'm 21, I'm about to move up out my mama. No, you moved from your parents when you moved with your husband. And if you wasn't cute enough to get married, then you just took over daddy's house.
Hold on. Hold on.
And that's if you didn't have an ugly brother who never got married.
I was gonna
Because
ask that.
if so, y'all just stayed in the house forever. Oh, them Mary's kids. They gonna be there till they die because they both too ugly to ever get married.
So the ugly ain't.
But it didn't affect the men as much. Because if you was a man and you probably had money, then people was just like, he kind of cute if you split. Let's be real. Y'all know all them kings wasn't cute. They had money and possessions. So if you was a woman, you wanted to get out your mama house, what'd you do? Tell the ugly guy he kind of cute. Y'all got married and then you moved up.
That's wicked.
That is though.
Hey,
That's a wicked.
all right.
So the ugly and ugly the end.
Not ew. No.
Baby, ugly people make cute kids. They baby probably
But
love
then
came
she
on
said
looking
they
like Esther.
family though.
They don't have to be family. Like say.
No, I'm
Right.
saying like if it's brothers and sisters and the parents die and both of y'all never married, yeah, brothers and sisters, yeah. All right, and in most tribes they didn't sleep together. It was only a few where they allowed that. Okay, so moving on. So we have this king, and Vashti was which wife?
The king's wife.
The first one.
So you want us to put first wife?
First queen, first wife, either one. The more you remember, the better. You don't have to remember like every detail of this, but the more you remember, the more points you get. First queen and or first wife. All right, so he had her, and then he banished her or sent her away. And then, what is he thinking? I'm the king, I have needs. So I need a new...
He need somebody else.
Yeah, he need a new wife. So what his men said was, King, don't even worry about it. We got you. Now, think back in those days. If I'm the king, I'm considered like basically the god of the community. So you don't tell me no. I only get the best. If somebody look at me wrong, they beheaded them and their whole family. So I had to send her away because she was tripping, forgot I was the king. And then his men went out and basically, I don't want to use the word kidnap, but I can't think of nothing else. They just rolled down the street. If you was cute and they determined you was a virgin, get in the van. You wanted to get in the van? Oh, you don't? Okay. No. It was get in the van. All right, so they had something called, who seen?
Nah, that's not compared to now.
All right,
True.
who know this?
Wait, hold on, I gotta mix it around.
Concubine, what is that?
Concubines?
All right, so I'm gonna explain what it is, and then I'm gonna put what my students told me to write. So,
Side pieces, right?
yeah, that's what the students told me to put. I prefer to call it something else with. All right,
Oh,
so,
yeah, side joints.
I got
all
a
right,
new
so
word
concubines. This is what happens. The king only needs one queen, but his men went out and collected like a couple of hundred women for him to compare. So you sleep with all of them, see who you like, don't like, take them on a couple of dates, and then after the couple of hundred, you like, oh, that was the nicest one right there. That's the one I'm gonna get with. She gonna be my new queen.
So
You didn't get rid of the rest of them though. They just lived in your house. It's called a concubine house or whatever he called it. But basically, it was what? Where all your concubines lived. And so it's a reason for that.
okay.
Back then, they thought something was wrong with you when you had a period. They thought women were like something was wrong with them, like you had a disease.
Wow.
And they thought that when your menstrual came down, that was all the evilness and the demons coming out of the women's body.
I'm dead.
And so yeah, y'all can look everything I tell you, look it up. I would never steer y'all wrong. But they thought that, remember, kings were like, well, men, excuse me, were like kings, and they were considered the dominant race. Gender. So the kings obviously thought they were like God on earth, but even men under them who weren't kings still thought they was the bomb compared to women. So yeah, women were like these basically toys. Now not all men felt that way, but a lot of them, or most of them did. So anyway, I said all that to say, you the king's queen or wife or whatever, the main one. And then he start feeling like he want a little something, but you on your period. He's not waiting. That's what these is for. He got a house full of them.
So when one of them had
There was too many of them for that.
so like if one of them had a period, then you didn't go just have sex with her.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Well, you got to think, I'm God. That's what they thought. I'm God. I'm the king. So you don't tell the king, in 4 days, boo, I got you. No, they don't wait. Like I'm the king. I'm all that. So he like, yeah, holla at me in about 3 weeks because it's a new shipment just came in last week anyway. So you cool, go on and bleed, do your thing. I wanted to check her out anyway.
That's fine.
So, all right, moving this story along. All right, so Esther was a what?
Orphanage.
Which means what?
Somebody took care of her.
Because,
Her parents died.
all right, I can't take it for granted. Every time I assume everybody in the class know what something means, somebody be like at the end, we done talk for an hour. Excuse me, I meant to ask you, what's the orphan? All right. Okay, so Esther was an orphan. She was taken care of by her cousin. She was cute. She was a virgin. She was a teen, blah, blah, blah. All right. And the reason she ended up with the king was because what?
His
The wife
had to
Disobeying her.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, she
disobeyed.
disobeyed them. But then how did she get there?
She got snatched up.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So Esther got snatched up by the guys who was riding around. Now the thing is, once they snatch you up, you didn't get to say, oh, this ain't for me. Because you've been exposed to the inside of certain parts of the castle and everything. So you didn't get to go home. You just spent the rest of your life as a concubine. You basically just sat around eating berries. Well, you had to stay in shape and look cute. Because if you like let yourself go or got fat or something, the king probably would just kill you or behead you. Because that was considered disrespectful to him.
What the?
Look,
You fat
y'all
ass.
gotta think. I'm the king. I only want to see pretty. I only want to see perfection.
Just let her go.
No, I'm saying that's what I guess that's what they talking about. I ain't agreeing.
He's like, I ain't agreeing with that. But no. So yeah, you had a house full of like the prettiest women or whatever if you were king on the side. All right, so what they did, they had something. Yeah.
What was I about to ask? Hold on. No, it was actually a real question.
All right, so they had these things called frankincense and myrrh, and they were like a combination of perfumes, berries, oils, whatever they felt like making you smell good with. But and it's mostly perfumes and oils, but sometimes they would throw in berries, perfumes and oils, and occasionally berries. All right, so frankincense and myrrh. What are they? Why did we need them? So, when you were kidnapped or selected to be a concubine or whatever your situation was, it wasn't like today, as I was saying earlier. You at the club, you see somebody, oh, I like the way she doing that. And then 2 hours later, y'all at the hotel getting it on. No. When they snatched you up, you didn't get to sleep with the king for a year. Anybody want to try to guess why?
What? Wait.
They had to test you.
Well, they did test you to make sure you were a virgin, so they went up in there and checked all that out because the king didn't want no used stuff.
What if you weren't? They picked you up?
Oh yeah, you got in trouble. Yeah.
My question came back. What would the family say, like, if you do get snatched up? Like, they don't see you.
Oh, they might just pay them to shut them up or something. Well, unless, it depends on the country. Some of the kings were like scantless deviants, so you didn't want to say nothing wrong to the king, you end up dead. But in some regions, they was a little nicer, and they'll give you a dowry. Like what I mentioned earlier, they'll pay you to take your daughter off your hands.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it was a few places where they was just so ruthless. It was just like, shut up, she mine now. Just be glad there's one less mouth you got to feed. All right, so you had this frankincense and myrrh stuff. So you collect all the women, and then you say, okay, it's September, whatever, 2017. September 2018 is your day to be with the king. A year later. The reason is, I'm the king, I want perfection, right? So some of these women was working out in fields, and they might have had hard, crusty feet, because back then, they didn't have shoes. So you gotta think, well, what they had for a shoe was like a piece of leather from a horse tail or a cow hide or something that they made into a string, and then it was a rock on the bottom of your foot tied with a string, like, you know, look something like Nikki flip-flops. But
That was a good one.
but they
as soon as you said it, he looked down like, get out of here.
But they would try to be creative with like stones and whatever. And then, so obviously you got mud all in your toes. Or what if you was somebody who milked the cows all day, or you built buildings or helped your father or whatever because he really wanted the son. So you might have blisters. Now, I'm the king. You can't touch my body with them old blistery hands. So you took a year, and every day except when you was cutting or whatever, you soaked in the perfumes and oils and stuff. They wanted to get so deep. Like, say you went and sat next to the king, but it was hot that day and you start sweating. Yeah, but you've been doing this for a year. So even when you sweat, your pores smell like what? Yeah, don't come near the king stinking. That was like the end of your life. Because he was into beauty, perfection, yeah, just... so part of that preparation, yeah, the king didn't want it stinking and dirty, smelling like you just came out the field. No. And you had to accommodate all his wants. So what if he had like a, I don't know, a back fetish or a back of your kneecap fetish? Wherever he want to sniff you or put his nose or lips, it need to smell good. So if you had some issues going on down there and it stank, you had a year to soak all the stank up out of there.
Soak all the stank up out of there.
That's the best way I know how to put it. So yeah, whatever. No, it was all of them. You had a year, and even if you was marrying like a common man, it wasn't like today where y'all meet 3 weeks later, y'all down at the city hall, or whatever, getting married by the justice of the peace. No. Even marrying like a normal man, while he was saving up the money for your dowry to give your father, you was spending a year doing
so this
all
was
this.
mandatory?
They tried to, because you wanted to be soft and cuddly, like, and your whole family was involved. Like, oh my goodness, my daughter, she getting married. They would start sewing curtains for your house, so you had decorations and buying like plates, and so when you was the perfect wife. And not only that, you didn't work for a year. They didn't want you to work for a year if they could help it. Y'all just stayed at home and got to know each other. And then everybody went back to work after you had a year to make your marriage solid. So like today, marriage is falling apart. Like, Yeah. But back then, you spent a year. Everybody saved money to help y'all take care. Y'all saved money yourself, and then y'all families pitched in. But for a year, y'all just made love, stayed at home, got to know each other, and then you went back. But before that, so it was a big process. You spent a year just making sure your feet was soft and other places smelled good and looked good, and yeah. So now Esther's kidnapped or whatever, and then she did her year and competed against all the other women. Well, who do y'all think won?
Esther.
All right, so Esther won.
She a savage.
Yeah, against all them women. All right, so I'm gonna write this over here. So the king had these guys. They did a couple of things. This word right here is eunuch. Couple of things you want to know about eunuchs, and it's really important to know it just because it's from history anyway, not just the Esther story. Where do I start? Okay, so eunuchs. Now remember I said
Oh yeah, I did. Like
all
this
the concubines basically kind of had terms to sleep with the king, unless it was just somebody he never got to or didn't choose to sleep with. So let's say out of whatever 200 or 300 women, at least about 20 or 30 of them was gonna get pregnant, right? So basically, you have a house full of all your baby mamas right next door to your house. Now each one might have their own room or something, but basically, yeah, you had a mansion full of all your baby mamas. Now imagine the drama that would be. So you had these guys, the eunuchs, and they had a couple of jobs. Number one was just keeping all your baby mamas from killing each other.
Man.
And I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not talking about today where they be like, "Ooh, I'm about to go put her car on flats. I can't stand her." Okay. You don't know no baby mamas that don't like each other?
I don't deal with people that got baby mamas.
But oh yeah, our first year, I was like, I don't know if this school gonna make it. We had a class, and one guy brought all his baby mamas to the class.
Bro. That dude
How many baby mamas do
crazy.
you have?
3, because he said, I don't want any baby mamas that don't have a diploma. So none of them had a diploma. He didn't have a diploma. And they,
No.
I promise they was all in
Logic.
one class. Ask Robert. We was sitting there, so we had to make
They
a
work
seating
together?
chart. No. We had to make a seating chart and put like, okay, you at this corner, you at this corner. Like we really had to, but we was in a bigger room because we was in the other building. But it was so crazy just trying to navigate. Yeah, so imagine a house with like 20 or 30 of them. And it wasn't like today, like I said. Like in here, we just had baby mamas and they'll be like, And so you sitting on this end walking past her, that's why your baby ugly. So,
Petty.
yeah, it was.
What was he doing? Like,
Enjoying it. Because he was still talking to one of them.
mm.
So you had like all this hate going on, and he all holding hands coming up in here every day, all loved up with the one he was still with.
But I'm trying to figure out how he gonna order them to get a diploma and he don't got one himself. But you know,
I need to write
Did
a
they
Henry
finish
Johnson
all?
Academy book.
Right.
Only one of them finished.
Was it him?
No.
Was it the baby mama he was holding?
No.
Mm.
Funny story about them, and then I'm gonna get back on task. They stayed really close. I'm not gonna tell y'all where. Y'all could probably guess.
I
But
probably know.
yeah, you might. But they, I don't say they had money because they kind of didn't. But put it this way, their car broke down,
So they had a couple.
and they stayed close enough to walk. And so when their car broke down, it was week 7. They was in the 8-week morning class. They called me and said, when the next 8-week class start, because our car broke down and we gotta wait 2 weeks till we get paid to get it fixed because we just paid all our bills. I'm thinking, how you getting to work for the next 2 weeks?
Right.
Talking about I'll be back in 2 weeks. So they was like, we just gonna take the next class. I said, y'all stay close enough to walk. Dr. Ryson. I said, okay, well then catch the bus. Oh, we don't do that either. So, now here's the crazy part. This is the first day of week 7. It's only 6 days of class left. You done made it
I'm
6
coming.
weeks.
Oh, whoa.
Now, so they dropped out of it, well, got kicked out because you can only miss 3 days and it was 6 days of class left. So when they started all the way over, they didn't want to redo all the work and they got caught cheating and was kicked out of school because we submit your papers through a computer and compare them to like papers all over the world. And one of their cousins was at University of Georgia or something like that. But anyway, it came up a match. We found it. The other one was like University of Texas, but both of them was like calling cousins in college or whatever and borrowing papers, and we ended up kicking them out. So they never did finish. And then the baby mama he hated the most, and she was the one that graduated. And she was like real dark skinned. So I mean, she wasn't ugly at all. She was just like really dark. But I guess the way he was gonna show her, he went and got this chick who was so light she could pass. You couldn't even really tell she was black. And then she had like really stringy hair that was like silky or whatever. And so she would be walking past doing like this. And the other girl was like real dark skin with real short hair. And he would just be like I got my real light skin supermodel, whatever. And yeah.
Was they fat or was some of them skinny?
They was all skin. They all was decent. Like the other ones was okay, but the one he was with, she was shaped like a Coke bottle. Like I said, she was so light you couldn't even tell she was black, and she had like the real wavy. They don't even make that Coke bottle no more, do they? The one that's shaped like this from back in the day.
Yeah, shape like this.
Y'all know what I'm talking about when
make that
people
no
say,
more.
yeah, they really, you have to have a bottle and it was like shaped like a woman. It had the top, then it went in real skinny in the waist and then came out.
So it was like the waist and booty.
Yeah, but that was the problem. She thought she was so cute, she didn't want to do no homework. So you got a cute Coke bottle and neither one of y'all got a diploma. Alright, so anyway, but the one who ain't hardly had no booty graduated. Okay.
Guess I had to be a girl with no booty.
Alright,
Nah.
so he like, how important is
Here's them cheeks. Like,
Right.
they are.
Alright, so the eunuchs was the ones though, they didn't deal with like petty drama, like I said, my baby cuter than yours and all that. They dealt with real life, she tried to poison me type drama, because if your baby outlives somebody else's, it might become the next king, or it might be the king's favorite. So like they literally would be trying to fight and kill each other so they could become the next favorite or whatever. Or if they thought you was in line to be the king's favorite concubine, because all y'all done got beat out, none of y'all his wife or the queen. But if you can be like the next favorite concubine, then you might try to kill the concubine that you think he like more than you or her kid. So eunuchs had important roles just keeping that down. But then on top of that, they had to protect the house. Because picture this. Picture it's a house in Cleveland and somebody somewhere know the whatever 200 or 300 finest women in the whole state of Ohio live in that house. You're gonna have at least 1 or 2 people like, dog, I'm about to break up in there. Ooh, I got to have it. All right. So you had to have the eunuchs, so when somebody got to talking crazy trying to break up in there, they got stumped and stolen. Yeah. So you was trying to step through the gate, and before your whole head was through there.
You know you about to steal from the king. I'm suited.
All right. So that's, and then the last thing y'all need to know about the eunuchs, which is my favorite part, because my son always cringe when I tell the story.
Here's my favorite part.
Eunuchs were not allowed to have a penis.
What?
Look up to the guys. What? All right.
Wait, you could live without one?
Yeah. Yes.
That's the same way I was.
All right. So let's
I never
discuss
knew
that. Yeah, you can. Now think, this was back then, and he like, no, you can't. She making that up. So, all right. So let's discuss that. Why do anybody, except you, because you heard it already. So why, you know?
Yeah, because they don't want nobody hitting on that girl.
Yeah, that's easy though.
I'm about to give you some extra credit.
Well, that's you should give all of us. We all knew it, even if you didn't.
Like, But that's wicked though.
So
Alright.
like, how would this procedure? You know how this procedure would go?
Yeah, we about to discuss it. So,
Like this.
believe it or not, back
That's
then,
wicked.
being a eunuch was considered an honor. Because, not that people wanted to do it or anything, but you kind of, in some cultures, you couldn't even like nominate yourself because that's suspicious. Like, can you cut mine off? But, no, but what happened, a lot of times you would have people nominate you because the king had to have somebody really trustworthy around all those women. Plus, you kind of was hanging with him. You knew his secrets. You was one of his top men who, you know, he would roll with when he went out of town or when he was doing dirt, whatever.
But he ain't worth losing my thing for. That's
Okay,
crazy.
so, but look,
My thing.
My thing,
all right, so you
boy.
guys are right. A lot of times, once they cut it off, you died instantly from like the blood loss. Or if you didn't die instantly, it was a couple of days later. So you could get infection, you could bleed to death. And the reason is back then they didn't have all the technology we have today. So the reason it was an honor, one of them, you had to be nominated. Somebody else chose you. They said, I know this guy. He's always good with money. He never steal. He really smart. He never tell a lie. He will be a great eunuch. You could really trust him. Then after somebody nominated you, the king said, oh, he would be a good eunuch. And you had to leave your life behind. So, excuse me. I've read books about people who like cried because they had to give up their life to become a eunuch, stuff like that.
Oh,
But in the end, they was like really honored, like he's a great guy or whatever. All right. So first of all, for eunuch, you want to write something about how honorable it was to even live through it, because most people died the first couple of days after it was chopped off. Yes.
Say if you was nominated, but you wasn't worth it, then what?
You probably was just killed, beheaded, put in prison for life, something.
so you
If
said
someone else nominated you?
I mean, yeah, if you came out shiesty, like the king caught you trying to, well, what's left? Lick on a woman or whatever.
Yeah.
So they got the whole little shebang cut, like penis and the little sack too.
I don't know if they did. I mean,
You mad
it didn't
extra.
really have no purpose. I don't know what they would
Listen.
leave it for. But that's a good question.
No, I'm saying before that, before all that even happened. Like,
Oh,
were nominated.
I don't. That's a good question. You know, but I think it was a process.
That's
So they really investigated.
Yeah.
Like they didn't just say, "Oh, somebody said you would be a good eunuch. Okay, you in." Like they did. I read they didn't. Yeah. Because you know people would nominate people just to be spiteful. Oh, you about to marry my sister?
bet.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I'm about to
King,
nominate
I'm
you to be a
going rogue.
eunuch. You would never sleep with my sister. No, yeah. So they did do like research and stuff. All right, so the eunuchs, they again protected the house, kept the women from fighting, and protected them from each other. But then they also was just kind of like friends to the women. So they say in the Bible that one of the reasons Esther was chosen was because the head eunuch, like one of the king's really favorites, was kind of telling her stuff the king liked to do or try this and don't try that. So she was already the king's favorite, but then the stuff the eunuch told her helped her become the one he chose. But I think everybody on the test will remember what the eunuchs were and what they did. All right.
You ain't gone. That's my.
All right, so wrapping this up, the last parts, yeah, we making good time. I have gotten through about 90% of Esther. I still need you to watch the video for the parts I missed, but I'm gonna say one more thing before we quit. And that is, Esther was Jewish.
Esther was Jewish.
Esther was Jewish.
So she wore them little long skirts and she was perfect.
All right, so, and there's a reason you need to know that, which is, I didn't just randomly pick, ooh, let me just pick somebody out the Bible to discuss. No, Esther was important to history because there was a guy, his name was Haman, and he was the king's right-hand man, like literally. He was so important. If the king was sick, y'all know how we have a president and a vice president?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Haman was basically the vice president of the kingdom. King's main assistant. Try to squeeze that in here. All right, so here's what happened. Mordecai was a Jew, which means he was really devoted to God. He was a very honorable man. And Haman obviously was not. He was an atheist or whatever. So one day he was somewhere and he saw Mordecai. Well, the power went to Haman's head. He was like, here, I'm the king's main assistant. So he would just be walking places and be like, bow down to me, I'm the king's main assistant. But then he went to Mordecai. And Mordecai said, I don't bow to nobody but the Lord. So whatever you going to do, you going to need to go on and do that because you're not the Lord. So what Haman did was trick the king into signing some papers that said, we're going to kill all the Jews. The reason is that was the only way he could get rid of Mordecai. Because the king actually liked Mordecai. But the king didn't know Mordecai was Jewish. So he like, here, king, sign this. Well, but what he signed was something that said we're going to kill all the Jews. Now, what did I say Esther was?
Jewish.
So what do that mean?
Esther got died too.
Esther got to die too. So Esther went on a fast for 3 days with no food or water. And then let the king know, because she had hid it from him all that time. But she finally broke down and told him, hey, yo, king, I'm Jewish. Why you trying to kill me? And he said, what are you talking about? He really didn't know what she was talking about. And that's when she told him, Haman trying to kill me and all my people. So
I gotta watch this movie.
the king killed Haman, his wife, his kids, his friends. If you look like you was cool with Haman.
Yo, that's crazy.
And then he had built, y'all know what a guillotine is? The thing that chop off people's heads?
Yeah.
Yeah. He built one to kill Mordecai with because he wouldn't bow down to him. And then when the king found out about it and he had Haman killed, he killed him and all his family on the one that he built to kill Mordecai with.
He built his own death.
Yep.
That's crazy.
I watched that movie. What's the name of that movie?
When you go on the YouTube, you're gonna look up Esther lecture. But if you really want to take it a step further, there's actually a movie called A Night with the King on DVD that you could check out about the whole story. But if it's longer, it's like 3 hours. You could just watch the one with me in my class where I go a little deeper and discuss it. It's like 50 minutes or something.
I got a question.
Yeah.
So say if the king died,
Mm-hmm.
the right hand man was automatically king?
No. Normally the king's son or something, which is why all the concubines competed.
What if they was too young to be?
No, you had like 5-year-old and 8-year-old kings. And really they just had a lot of advisors that they would discuss the decisions with until they grew up. But yeah, it's a couple of places in the Bible where people only had 6, 10-year-old sons or whatever, and they would just, in an emergency, they would make that person the king. All right, questions about Esther. So on the test, there's a whole section. I've answered all but like 2 or 3 of the questions that's on the test. The rest, I'm gonna let y'all watch the movie and look up, but that's most of it.
Let me take a picture.
Her in these pictures. But everybody got decent notes.
Yes.
All right, everybody learned something today.
Oh, yeah, I really did. I never knew that, you could live without your
Without your right hand man.
You know what though? There are some countries where they still do it, and people live a lot. I mean, it's much better than it was in history. So,
I thought I said you all in my picture.
oh my. But look, what's crazy is all y'all like, man, ain't no way I could live without mine. There's countries where they sew women up. Y'all did know that too, right?
Sew them up.
I gotta take y'all.
I heard of it.
Yeah.
Like sewing
So,
some, like needle and thread
yes.
type sewing.
Mm-hmm.
She talking about like
To try to keep you from either having sex or having babies, they sew you up.
Now it's called what? When you don't have kids no more. What is it called?
vasectomy. Oh no, that's for dudes.
That's for to suck the out of men.
Yeah. What is the female part called?
All I know is you chip them, they
You're not talking about
snip 'em and
hysterectomy,
burn
are
'em.
you?
I don't know, something.
Yeah, that's when they take the uterus out. No,
Yeah.
it's a whole nother game because you can still have sex without a uterus. You just don't get pregnant. No, in like countries where they trying to prevent the women from sleeping around, or like they think that's evil if you have sex before you married or whatever. They will sew you up
So like they don't get unsold or nothing.
Yeah, I was just
eventually. Yeah,
How that work?
it's procedure. This is real interesting. Like y'all be surprised. Like just reading that stuff, I'll be tripped. Yeah.
it hurt thinking about it. That nigga the weight
Yeah.
wasn't gone no more.
And y'all, they don't have the technology over there we have yet. So literally, if you live through that, you consider like.
Yeah, for real. Cause that,
Yeah.
I know that pain crazy.
But then, y'all know what's funny? Well, not funny to the person having it, but in some countries where they can't afford like medicine and stuff, they give you like a couple of drinks or some shots, and then they do like chopping up your thing or sewing you up or whatever. Because that's considered medicine. Like if you have some type of pain, they just get you drunk.
But you bleed more though, right?
Hmm?
You bleed more though, right? Because you drinking liquor, right?
I just know that it's countries
I
that
got
that's the way they
tattooed
do it.
drunk.
I think that is so
I was
crazy.
bleeding crazy.
That's a good.
I
We
don't
should
know.
look that up.
Nah, I think it's true because I got tattooed drunk and I was bleeding crazy. So I think
For
that
real?
kind of is true.
But I just know I read like, so I don't know if they give you the alcohol before it or after it. But I know I read that some places if they don't have medicine. Yeah.
Okay, so how do they stop the bleeding
Now.
back then?
Oh, I don't know what they did.
Like,
Oh, you know what? I was
Probably
reading a
about
book.
pressure.
I was just
Or
reading a book. Right now I'm reading a book of Gomer and Hosea. But she was saying something about they packed it with some type of leaves.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. 'Cause
They
my
still
dad-
do that?
Oh, I don't know, but
Yeah, this was from back hundreds of years ago.
he told me that back in the day or whatever, one of his friends was holding a saw, and I guess wasn't paying attention and put it on his leg. And then they put like a whole bunch of bushes or whatever, and it like stopped the blood until he went to the hospital. So that's why I was thinking like, okay, that's probably what stopped their blood.
Yep,
Like,
I just
some type
read
of-
that a few days ago in the book I'm reading, and she was talking about somebody had something. A woman had got smart with the king in a book, and they beat the lady like, just beat holes in her, and like she was about to bleed to death. But then the way they stopped it was by packing the holes with leaves.
Mhm.
But they dipped the leaves in something first, like some type of, I think it was mint or something. It was supposed to have healing properties or something.
Cause you know they actually have mint leaves and
That
they like
heal.
crush it up and
They
it's
do.
like watery.
Yep.
So that's probably
And that's what I read they did. So that's maybe what they stuffed up in here or whatever when the men just stuffed it with mint leaves.
or just put it in there. You can't put it in there because you ain't got it.
Yo,
There's still a hole.
we deal with this constantly.
You feel some type of way. That's crazy though. Like,
Yeah. History is really like people
Yeah,
like
I
I could
know.
you should have
never
been a history teacher.
certain parts of it I love. I do. It's crazy.
Bro, I'm about to go home and watch this movie.
You know I'm
Until
playing
I
though.
fall
That's the
asleep.
funny part.
You know I'm playing. I'm about to watch football.
Oh yeah, today Thursday.
Yeah,
Alright.
Patriots.
I have to
I
go
love
to the
it.
club. You feel me? Just
On Thursday though?
on a
Talk
Girl,
to me.
it's about to be going for the
Don't say Patriots around my son.
Yeah,
please.
we gotta watch the Patriots.
My son
son's
got the
crazy.
Patriots wallet, like 5 of their sweatshirts, the hoodie, the Scully, the gloves.
scene.
I know he
Oh, he got the
He
coat
tryna
with the
get
Super
home,
Bowls on it.
He's trying to get home too.
I
Trust
think
me.
that mug say Super Bowl 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the back. Like it's a collector's
Wow.
edition. My husband bought them. Yeah, it's ugly. And I don't like they be arguing because my husband can't stand the Patriots and my son love them.
Your husband don't like the Patriots.
He don't like them because
For Brady.
he don't like them because my son. That's all he talk about.
Nah, cause Patriots fans is annoying, like Cowboy fans.
I like the Patriots too, but not as much as my son. All right, so it's 8:10. Oh, we 5 minutes early. If you don't have questions, you can leave. If you do, I ain't going nowhere till 9 o'clock when my son get off. So, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go to the bathroom.